Railroad which was built, prospered, failed, and disappeared before everyone in this class was born. What I find interesting is it passed very near my house and school, and you can barely tell it ever existed. It was called the Ma&Pa. This is written and directed by Eric Smithman with a little help from his dad. The Ma&Pa Railroad was actually built as two separate railroads. The Peach Bottom Railway from York to Delta, PA, built in the 1870s, and the Maryland Central, built in the 1880s. Both railroads were built narrow gauge, which means 3 feet 0 inches wide. This turned out to be a mistake, but more on that later. Here are a few of the narrow gauge steam engines first in use. The narrow gauge seemed a good idea because it would permit sharper curves and it would be less expensive to initially build the whole railroad. The Maryland Central got off to many false starts. Bankruptcies occurred several times. A very direct route from Baldwin to Sharon through Pleasantville and Twinging Valley was favored. But a very difficult line through Fallston, Vale, Bel Air, and Forest Hill won out. This is the Glen Arms Station. The agent holds orders for the crew of number 6. This shot was taken at the Bel Air station in 1949. Diesel engines were acquired in an effort to reduce operating costs. Business was good with the S&N Heinz cannery, farmers, dairy output, and passengers. Here is number 6, which hauled uncounted cans of milk in her day. Here a line of horse carts wait to load milk from the Maryland, Pennsylvania passenger trains at Baltimore in 1911. The early morning train carried most of the milk and was informally called the Milky Way. The balance of the way from Sharon to Delta through Rocks was the hardest to build, but was completed and opened in January of 1880. This is number 42 on the trestle at Rocks. Taking water at the Rocks water tank. everything was great all the time. Problems occurred with subsidence, sinking of the track, and landslides after rains. Here is a baggage car derailment at Winter's Run near the Vale water tank. Another accident pulled 13 cars over the overshot trestle at Laurelbrook. Between the accident and the fire, 5 people died. These accidents and others caused many long court cases for the railway. The earlier decision to go narrow gauge was hurting business due to incompatibility with other railroads. In February 1900, the decision to convert to standard gauge was made. Very necessary but very expensive, new rails and new rolling stock were required. A decline in revenues started about 1915. What happened? In 1914, a state road from Baltimore to Bel Air was completed. In 1915, common carrier bus service was started. Model Ts were chugging along in growing numbers, and milk began to move by truck. The Ma&Pa scraped along for years. They lowered costs by using diesel engines. The mail contract was lost in 1954, and that made passenger services unprofitable. The last passenger run was on August 31st, 1954. After the Ma&Pa lost 83,671 in 1955, 122,594 in 1956, and 40,943 in the first 5 months of 1957, it applied to the ICC for abandonment south of Whiteford, Maryland. There was little opposition since remaining traffic could move by truck without much difficulty. Number 82 set out on June 11, 1958 with a Ma&Pa boxcar and a caboose on the last revenue trip on the Maryland District. She returned to Baltimore late in the evening with 6 more cars, mainly empties, picked up at the sidings along the way. It was a historic moment with the last Ma&Pa train came into Baltimore, but few were there to see it. I wanted to show you what some of the locations you saw in the video look like today. This is the Glen Orange station today. It's being converted into a deli. Workmen were installing glass when we were there. This is a shot of the Laurelbrook trestle. The trestle itself is long gone, but the piers are still on the Laurelbrook Road, just down from the St. Mark's Church. This is a shot of the Folsom Station. The people at Hartford Insulation were very helpful in letting us use this drawing of the way the station used to look, where the accident with the baggage car that you saw earlier occurred. The pier on the right is older and is the one in use when the accident occurred. This was the trestle at Rocks on Route 24. Many of you may have visited the state park and splashed around in the water. This concludes my Ma&Pa documentary.